Oh, that was such an amateur mistake I made. Took a sip of water right as the record started. And I could just change it in post, but
Mhm.
at Alpha Flow, we're all about authenticity. This is you get what you get, and I just killed the first 2 seconds of this.
Well, welcome,
Yeah,
you water sipper.
of all the insults I've had hurled at me in my lifetime, that's a pretty easy one.
Water sipper?
Yeah.
Okay. What did we talk about last week? Which commitment did we talk about?
Oh, come on.
I commit to a good reputation,
remember.
or I commit to stand by you when all hell breaks loose.
Stand by you.
Oh, okay. No, we talked about good reputation.
No, we didn't. And
We didn't? Okay.
we do actually talk about what we're going to talk about on air. Just we're coming in hot today because we've got to be in and out. So this is we weren't actually supposed to do this today because you weren't feeling well. How are you feeling? Let's
feel much
start with that.
I
Good.
think it may have been allergies. Thank you. I feel much better. I have to say I had this really big realization this morning when I was getting ready. And I think I want you to talk about this if even if you hadn't planned. We've had 2 gorgeous days here in New Jersey. And when I say gorgeous, it was still overcast and cloudy, but it was warm.
And
I have not
muggy.
had the hard top off of my Jeep for the past, well, I didn't have it off last summer. So I got it off with the help of my brother, got my soft top back on, and the past 2 days I've just had the top down. I got the paddleboard in the water for the first time this season last night, and I worked by the pool at the gym the other day. And I was just like, holy crap, just went from not feeling well to just feeling really great. And yeah, I'm always doing things for self-care, but there's nothing that can replace being outside, being in nature, having the sunshine. Um, had a conversation with Alexander's orthodontist yesterday, who's like 4:30 a.m. club, and I told you he listens to lots of Brecca and Hyman, and he was saying, well, what happens? Everyone says get out and get that morning sun, but what happens when you're up before the sun? And I was like, I don't know. That's a great question. We got to ask my partner. So I don't know if you can speak to that today at all.
Absolutely. It's hard because the Hall of Fame of health hoaxes that have been thrust upon us, and I don't blame the doctors because they've been trained on what they've been trained on when they go to school.
Sure.
But you have to understand, and it sounds like a conspiracy, but it's true. The same people that own the hospitals, that own the schools, that own the pharmaceutical companies, it's all the same people. So what's happened is you've got this kind of pipeline of lifetime customers. Because think about it, and we're going to talk about the gut in a little bit. When have you ever gone to the vet with your pet and the pet's not feeling well and the vet has not said, well, what are they eating? Every time, right?
Yeah.
When you go to the doctor, when have they ever said, how's your diet? What are you eating?
Yeah, almost never.
And the majority of health professionals get 0 to 1 day of nutrition education while they're doing their degrees and stuff. So again, I don't blame doctors. I never want to come across like I'm belittling doctors. There are some incredibly smart people, way smarter than that practice. But there are so many health hoaxes, and it's almost to the point, and I used to say this all the time in fitness, where, in fitness, if you go into a commercial gym and you don't know what to do, look at what everyone's doing and do the opposite, because that's pretty much what you should be doing. Same with health now, like whatever you're told is not good for you, probably good for you, and vice versa. And the sun is one of those things. There are studies after studies that show the benefits of being in the sun. Skin cancer is not because of the sun, it's because of your diet and because of the sunscreens that have all these toxic chemicals in. And we can do a whole episode on that, on the right types of sunscreens. And in fact, you shouldn't even need sunscreen for the most part if you're smart with when you're in the sun. And they used to even have in hospitals, they used to have sun wards where they would roll the patients out to be in the sun because that's how they would get better.
Yeah.
Vitamin D is the only vitamin that your body makes, and it comes from the sun's energy.
Yeah.
So this whole and I used to be scared of the sun, and it was drilled into me. I got pasty white skin. The medication I was on as a kid for my acne made my skin even more sensitive to the sun.
Hmm.
But I rarely get burnt now unless I'm stupid and I'm out in the sun between 11 and 1.
Yeah.
And that's it. Yeah, sunlight, it makes you feel better. It revitalizes you. There's even, the idea of not looking at the sun.
Hmm.
That's there's some benefits. I sun gate sometimes. You
Hmm.
just stare at the sun. But yeah, the sun is incredible. And then to your point about the what you do if you're up before the sun, I always tell people just be in sunlight by 9 a.m., 10 a.m.,
Mm.
and you're going to get the waves, because the reason you want to be out at that time is that there's certain wavelengths that are kind of stronger at that time. You don't get the UVs until like that 11 to 1, 2 p.m.,
Yep.
which is when you're going to get burnt. But if you're in the sun before then, it really aligns your circadian rhythm. It actually upregulates a lot of the defense chemicals against burning, or
Hmm.
not defense hormones and stuff against burning. So if you get out in the sun that early, you're gonna have protection against burning when the sun's a bit stronger. So yeah, I always tell people between 9 and 10 a.m. Like this morning, um, I got to go for my ruck, which is my favorite form of cardio now. Did that about 7 o'clock, so I got my morning sun. Um, but there are some mornings where, if I'm training a client at 5:45, I'm going to be up at 4:30.
Hmm.
So I just make sure that I get some time in before 10 a.m.
And like,
And
is 5 minutes enough, or is it like anything's better than nothing, or what's ideal?
anything's better than nothing. I think if you can do 20 minutes at least,
Hmm.
that's good. And if you combine it with walking, then you've got your cardio
Hmm.
in for the day too. And there's actually this book. I want to read the book. I really like Mark Sasson is his name. He's got a whole he sold it. Primal Kitchen is his brand.
Sure.
Right, super healthy food. It's the
Low
only
sugar, no
brand that I'll
sugar.
buy
Hmm.
that's not outside of just stuff from the farm.
Yep.
Um, he's got this new book out called Born to Walk,
Mm.
where he's talking, and I've always believed this, and it's really interesting. I'm kind of my fitness ideologies really come full circle, where I think I've always felt like, minimal effective dose that really hasn't changed. I
Yep.
even did that with my marathon training, but like my thoughts on cardio have really evolved and come back full circle in the last 4 or 5 years. Like people work out way too much.
Hmm.
They don't understand the amount of stress they're putting on their body. And I wrote this article, it's over 10 years ago now, which is kind of scary, where I talked about how, it was called better off in the long run. Like
Hmm.
you shouldn't be, if you're going to run, you shouldn't be running for more than 3 miles.
Yeah.
The amount of damage you're putting on your joints for that, sustained period. You're not going to feel it now. You might feel great,
I see it all the
but
time.
20 years.
Ben was a big runner. He's still a runner, but he's
Mm.
always got his knee brace on when he's running,
Yeah.
and his body feels it. He's this SI joints. And my other partner Sam, another big runner, and he's old. He's about 10 years older than us, and he sees people running by us when we're out on our walks. Because no matter where we're presenting, we always walk whatever city, whatever area that we're in. And he's like, "Oh man, I just wish I could, join in." But his his body and has just broken down from the
Yeah.
amount of running. I don't know any runner, any long-term runner that doesn't either have consistent pain, knee
Yeah.
replacements, hip issues, back issues. And I love me and my 5Ks, and that's more just like my little mental, and that's right at that 3 mile. But if I run the whole thing, even when I'm just training, I always feel it. Versus if I do like a real brisk walk with some jogs in it, like my body feels great. I can do that every day if I needed to.
Yeah.
Um,
And and you talk about how we've evolved,
yeah,
and I don't mean in terms of evolution.
running away from
I'm talking
predators.
about, yeah, just like, when society wasn't as developed, we
Mhm.
would either be running away from something or running to something to get it.
Mm-hmm.
We don't run from destination to destination. It was always walking.
Yeah.
So in terms of exercise and stuff, I've really changed on that. But yeah, in terms of sun, people need to be in the sun more. And I would love, it's one of my goals in the next 10 years to have some kind of influence on hopefully the schools my kids are in.
Mm.
But like kids shouldn't be in the classroom until 10, 11 a.m. They should
Mhm.
be outside playing. And I guarantee you,
Yeah.
you will see improvements in focus. You will see more retained knowledge. Kids will behave better. But what do we do? The first thing we're doing is shoving them inside
Yep.
in a classroom with fake light. Like, what are we doing? Get them outside.
Ben had to go to the store last night to get ingredients because his oldest son, 13 turning 14, they were making candy salad for school today. So,
Who, what?
like, candy salad. So that's what the school, we wonder why we're pumping our kids full of crap and a candy salad. Like, I understand it. It's towards the end of school, but we equate fun with high sugar and like all the no-no
Mm-hmm.
foods. And then we wonder why our kids have attention issues. We wonder why our
Oh,
kids are having
yeah.
energy spikes. We wonder why our kids are having these emotional, highs and lows because we're freaking making candy salad. And like,
Yeah.
that's, I don't get it.
Don't get me started on
I
that. Like,
know, I know.
when I
Well,
help
then
out for the kids' parties at school, and I'm like, they're passing around the Munchkins from Dunkin' Donuts
yeah,
and Dorito. Like, I don't think people understand how bad Doritos are for you. I can see in real time how my kids turn into different people. They turn
yeah,
into little demons as soon as I eat them because they don't eat them anymore. But sometimes, yeah, my feeling is you can't be 100% strict because I actually think there is some benefit to being metabolically flexible. Like you should be able to
mm,
tolerate the toxins and to some degree.
mhm,
That's the whole point of being healthy.
mhm,
But we're talking like once every 3 months or something like that.
sure,
They'll have something like that. But yeah, like and I'm hoping with the new movement and everything. I think the right types of voices are getting listened to now and are
yeah,
becoming more mainstream. But it's just sad, and there's just so much money and influence and keeping people sick that
yep. Our
food's the first
schools,
kind
our
of gateway.
hospitals,
Yeah,
and like you said, there is a ton of value in traditional medicine. We need it, but we have so much information out there, and we have to ask questions. We have to advocate for ourselves. And I want to ask you one other question about the sun thing. I heard about this the other day, and I don't know if you've heard of it, but actually not wearing sunglasses, especially in that early
that's me.
morning or sun, because
I don't wear sunglasses.
your body, your eyes actually are able to sense the amount of UV light that's coming through, which
Yeah,
adjusts how your skin is responding. So,
yep.
um, you know, we're going to keep talking about this. We certainly do not know everything about it. And we might be even saying things that aren't true. I don't know. I'm repeating what I've heard.
No,
Um,
this is all true.
okay.
Sunglasses are another contributing factor to skin cancer and stuff like that
Mm.
because your body just is you're blocking out the good frequencies from the sun, and your eyes, like you said, your eyes aren't able to give the feedback to your brain to produce the right kind of hormones and everything.
All right. So get out before 10 a.m.,
Hmm.
even if it's overcast, the sun's still coming through.
Yes, and I'll even make the point. So the sun, there's a great podcast episode I'll send you where this guy gave the most comprehensive talk about sunlight that I've ever heard. Um, but and he was saying in that is where I thought of it. The sun, the rays from the sun can actually get through about 10 layers of clothing.
Hmm.
So, yeah, you're not going to get a tan when you're wearing clothes, but you're still going to get the feedback from your skin absorbing it and stuff like that. So, yeah, even if it's cloudy, you're still going to get benefits from it.
Yeah. And for God's sake, if you live in an area where there's not a lot of sun, figure out what you need to do to get yourself to somewhere where there's sun a couple times a
Hmm.
year. I mean, that's those studies have been proven where, you're
Yeah.
in darkness for significant amount of the day. I was talking with Amy, Amy who's been on our podcast this morning, and the difference in her when she's at her Florida home and kind of walking the beach and picking up shells and still working, you can't replicate that if you don't live in those areas. Now you can find what works for you in the areas that you live in, but your environment is so important. And if your
Huge.
environment is not working for you, then you're not a tree. You can pick up and leave and go somewhere. And I'm not saying that that's easy, but our environment is so, so important. So if there's a lot of things that work for you in your environment, where you live, the area that you live, the house that you live, awesome. And you can supplement what doesn't work for you by getting to places that do offer those things that continue to fill you and make you feel great. Wonderful. But if you can't do that and your environment isn't working for you, you have to change it. um, and control what you can control. And maybe that's just getting out every single
Yeah.
morning. Um,
And, I would encourage people if, if you've got meetings as soon as you're walking in, tell everybody, "Hey, let's do this, let's take this meeting on a walk."
yeah,
I mean, like
walking
Steve
meeting.
Jobs is famous for that. Like he did all of his best meetings when he was on a walk. And I'm the
Yeah,
same way. Like if I'm walking,
yeah,
I feel free to just express myself and the ideas flow.
yes.
When you're in a confined space, I mean, think about it. Like just from a metaphorical sense, like you're boxed in
Hmm.
when you're sat in a meeting. Of course, your mind's not going to be as clear.
Your mind's not going to be as clear, and I love eye contact. I think that that's very important in communication. On the flip side of that, there are studies, and I've been studying this more with children, where like car rides, airplane rides, walks, things where they don't have to look at you, that there is an openness to conversation that
Yeah,
wouldn't happen. So I think when you can get out with colleagues in your team and you're focused on walking forward, you're not staring at each other and you don't have
mhm,
everyone staring at you, the flow of conversation that comes out is very different. Can be very
exactly.
different.
And I would wonder if, and maybe that's what these studies will kind of say is it might not be that you're giving eye contact to someone else. It might be that you don't feel like they're staring at you, so you're not
Mhm.
worried about the feedback you get from them. You just
Sure.
express yourself, and
Yeah.
then you'll hear what they say. Um,
You're also not
yeah, very true.
studying them while you're talking, like, "Oh, how are they reacting to this?"
Right.
Right? You're just kind of letting the thought come out without thinking like, "Did they just purse their lips? Did they raise their eyebrow? Should I not continue with what I'm saying?"
Yeah.
Um, so awesome. All right, get out, get walking,
Yeah.
get get in the
It's always
sun.
one of the first things whenever I'm trying to change people's health.
Mhm.
It's get in the morning sun.
Yeah, yeah,
And you could even there are even walking meditations. Joe Dispenza's got a bunch of really good ones where you
yeah.
can kind of it's what I would talk about habit stacking, like how can I incorporate a few habits at once? And then you start thinking about grounding. All right, well,
Yeah.
why don't I go walk barefoot in the grass,
Mhm,
even if it's just up and down your backyard?
mhm.
Hey, there you go. You got three in one.
Let's do an alpha flow, walking meditation conversation. I think that would go really well with the project that we're working on.
It would, yes.
Okay. All right. Coming up with ideas when we're just chit
Because
chatting
we're
away.
flowing. So
No one's
that's
listening,
what
right?
alpha
This
flow
is
is.
just for us. No, I hope that our listeners take from that. Um, just try
Oh,
it.
they do. I know people start new habits based on the conversations we have.
Okay.
I get quite a bit of feedback on that.
I know we had some questions about how do I make it actionable, especially
Yeah,
from some of our reels and our shorts. Um, And yeah, we get it. Like, well, sometimes those clips, we're not purposely making them like, oh, let's make a hook so that you have to go listen to the whole thing. It's really more AI pulling out what it feels is most
yeah,
consumable, and um we love the feedback and the questions and the comments and the like, hey, how do I actually implement this? Because that's what we do. Outside of the podcast, you and I have a commitment to helping people in our lives. And
yeah,
that form comes in many vehicles. So but this is when someone asks us a question, like that's our fuel, that's the stuff that keeps us going and also allows us to kind of tweak what we're speaking about. We want to know what's important to people, what people are struggling with, what they need help on. Like
yeah,
that's our mission here on earth.
100%.
Okay. So I love the health talks and I want to continue more of them. So we have a commitment to that.
Yeah,
You want to
definitely.
talk at all? Because I know we're a little shorter on time today, but do you want to talk at all about your own lab results, or do you want to like
Yes.
set the stage for another conversation on that?
No, I'll talk about it. And it was really so. Just for some background, I will be launching this company in the next 3 months. Really, it's down to when I finish my licensing, and just rebranded to Alpha Health, which I love.
Yes, I love it.
So the whole the without I'm not going to go into a sales pitch. So basically, as part of the program, you get the lab test done on yourself.
Hmm.
And the reason I need to go through this licensing is so I can then have the lab tests sent to my clients, and I'm under a medical program, et cetera, et cetera. So, you know, I did the lab test, and I'm thinking, I feel great. Never felt fitter, stronger. Energy levels are always good. I'm thinking, oh, might be a few things. I'm sure, yeah, but been dealing with some stress and whatnot, so I'm sure that will show up. Um, and much like we talk about how, feeling, the way that we feel, having come through a lot of the stuff we've come through and the practices we have, we were saying we'd love people to know what normal feels like again or what good
Mm.
feels like again.
Or for the first time.
That yeah, and the lab tests were like a big smack in the face because here I am presenting no symptoms
Mm.
outside, sometimes my stomach would be a little upset every now and again. And, my gut is a wreck. I've got leaky gut,
Mhm.
which it all kind of stems from having H. pylori, which about 50% of the population
Mm.
does. So, and again, this is why with medical practice, why are we checking cholesterol so often when we should be checking this stuff?
Yeah.
Um,
Because we can
but
put
anyway,
people
that's
on
another.
cholesterol medication.
Well, yes, exactly. Don't get me started on that. There's a whole episode
Well, and
we're
my
gonna
whole
do on that.
freaking my mother, what all the shit she's been through,
Yeah.
and at the hands of nurse practitioners and doctors and yeah.
Hmm.
Anyway, okay.
So yes, gut to wreck. There was my stress was all right, but then I was, realizing my adrenals were just shot by the end of the day,
Mm.
which made me think, drinking too much coffee.
Mm-hmm.
I felt great. Like I didn't feel the effects of drinking 4 to 5 to 6 cups of coffee a day,
Mm-hmm.
but under the surface, and this is what I always tell people: by the time symptoms show up,
Mm.
the chaos inside is already so far gone. You're not going to know what the root cause is anymore. Which is, how I practice and how I will be practicing going forward with Alpha Health is you got to just allow the body to heal itself and remove all of the stresses. And in my case, it was the H. pylori and all this. So it was just a bit of a wake up call. Like, dude, as good as well as you're keeping keeping your health,
Mm-hmm.
there's still work to do, and you can't get complacent. I found out I've got a gluten allergy.
Okay.
Didn't have, and again, feeling, I thought it was normal to have gas.
Mm.
Since I've cut the gluten out, I haven't had gas.
Wow.
Isn't that crazy? I'm cutting alcohol out for 90 days, no
Nice.
problem.
Yeah.
I don't even know if I'll go back to it, to be honest. I don't miss it that much. Yeah, and I'm down to 2 cups of coffee a day, and that's it. The rest
Okay.
is decaf.
Now, are
And
you gonna get off coffee or?
no, there are benefits to caffeine. It's just when you time it right, like you want to time it with your adrenals. So cortisol was naturally higher during the morning,
Mm-hmm.
so drinking it then to I was that was the only one I was within range was the beginning
Okay.
of the day. So no, I'm not gonna give it up completely.
Okay.
But having said that, should I continue testing and find things aren't moving the needle, then I
Mm-hmm.
would be open to it. Yeah.
Sure.
You just realize like what what do I place value on? There's always the same with alcohol too. I wasn't like a get wasted kind of drinker. I just enjoyed a drink or two at the end of the day, and
Mm-hmm.
I would maybe for over 4 or 5 days a week. Um, like yeah, I'm not seeing any negative effects, so why not? And I really do enjoy the taste of wine and whiskey. Beer I could live without. Um, but now it's like, well, no, I've really prioritized my health. That's the most important thing to me.
Yeah.
So easy to give up.
Yeah. Okay. So you got test
So
results back. You got reality check, right? Reality check is such
yeah.
a that's a gift, right? It's
I
not
I'm just
good or
I'm
bad.
so yeah, I'm just so grateful that I did it because I found this all, my body's doing what it should to
Mhm.
stop all of the things having negative effects. But if
Mhm.
if this was going on for another year or two, that's like with my digestion was all fucked up because H. pylori, they produce this chemical that suppresses your stomach acid so they can survive in that environment.
Mm.
So I didn't realize I'd kind of lost my appetite. So I've been
Oh,
taking
wow.
digestive enzymes. There's a whole protocol of supplements because that's part of the protocol.
Yeah.
Um, and all of a sudden I got my appetite back, and it's
Nice.
great. So again, like I forgot what good and normal felt like.
That's
And this is
terrible because 'cause I'm
me,
like, "I
who's
want
like,
H.
you would
pylori."
not of all the people that I know and that know me, they'd be like, "You're the last person I would have thought." And then this, goes to my mother's health, and she's at the end stages, unfortunately, of PSP, and
Mhm.
I'm like, God, I wish I knew now.
Mm.
But I wish I knew what I know now.
Yeah.
10 years ago, I could have maybe helped in and intervened and done something for her. But you just you can't wait for symptoms to show up. So
Yeah.
that, my message to everybody is, I'm not trying to just sell it to like come and test with me and do all of this stuff. Even if you don't have health complaints, really be honest with yourself about your habits, what you eat.
Mm-hmm.
This like the people who have shit sleeping habits. You're going to
Mm-hmm.
bed at 1, 2 a.m.,
Mm-hmm.
getting 4 or 5 hours of sleep, and it's bad sleep. Like really ask yourself, am I on the right track here? Because again, while you're getting away with it now,
Yep.
when symptoms show up, it's going to be a lot harder to fix.
How many times do we see someone drop dead and we're like, "Oh my God, we thought they were in such great shape, or they were in such
Yeah.
great shape. They took such great care of themselves." What you look like on the outside does is not necessarily a
Mhm.
reflection of what you look like on the inside. Um, there's
That's often been my
healthy.
thought.
Go ahead.
What, particularly in this country, we've really over sexualized
Mm-hmm.
what our bodies look like. I'm actually starting to wonder if, your body wants to retain some amount of fat
Mm-hmm.
because it's a survival thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
God forbid there's an emergency, I have enough energy storage to survive.
Yeah.
What if we're not meant to have ripped abs and, be completely toned and everything? What if? And a lot of the folks who look like that, I would love to see the kind of, and this is the thing, like a lot of those people will have their blood work done, but they're looking at the typical kind of metrics.
Yeah.
What if we did stress panels on them and stuff like that?
Yeah.
What are we going to see?
Look at
I
our
will
athletes.
say I actually have excess testosterone. I'm so red-blooded male that I do have excess testosterone.
Do you
So
get did they give you
I
a
was
little
quite happy with
badge?
that.
Did they give you a
Yeah,
button that you get to wear around that says,
yeah,
"I
it's
have
in a penis
excess
shape.
testosterone"? Oh
Um,
my God,
so yeah,
off camera. I have to tell you about one of my Match.com connections when I was, not when I was dating, about this guy who had too many T cell issues or whatever you would call it. But I was not dating him. We never met in person. I had enough of what I needed to know just by the few messages.
it
But
was not a match, we'll say, huh?
it was not a match. Now he is cool. He swims with sharks and photography, so I get that he's high in
Yeah.
testosterone, but it was almost like this is a problem I have. I need help. I need help getting rid of this. I was like, well, I'm not your girl, buddy, but I'm sure there's plenty of women out there that will help you.
Oh boy, man.
Oh boy. You know what? Thank you for your candidness and your openness, and for the continuing of, there's so much shame that comes around our health and our bodies. I can only
Yeah,
speak for women because I'm a woman. I've been really thin. I have been way overweight. I'm still not where I want to be, but I'm way healthier than I have been. Even when I was really thin, I just barely ate. And especially when you're out there and you're like, you're fit, you're toned, you work out, you are conscious about everything. And for you to sit here and be like, okay, my test results came back and I wasn't as healthy as I thought I was, or there was some things that were off. And this is the truth, and this is what I'm doing around it.
yeah,
Just to clear that out, it gives permission to other people to say, you know what? It's scary to look at the unknown, but when you look at it and you know where you are, then you can make good decisions from there. And
yeah,
who said that we were supposed to be perfect? And you know what? Maybe you were doing something that you thought was 100% the right thing, but it turns out it actually isn't. Well, that's okay. But
yeah.
now you have new information, and now you get to make a different decision if you choose to. So I really love that about you. It has an impact on me more than I realized. Um, and I know it's going to have an impact on all your clients, the end of the 10 commitments of an accountable leader is the ripple effect.
Hmm.
And when you drop that stone in the water, and the ripples it creates. So I just want to honor you for a second for,
Oh, thank you. And
that
I'll
radical
also say this
ownership.
in terms of nutrition too. So, two of the tests we run, I didn't do one.
Mhm.
I think I'm going to do it just to really focus, food sensitivity test.
Mhm.
Um, where you see what your body's really reacting to. Now, I had
Mhm.
some markers. I had some high globulins in my blood that indicated I was having a reaction to gluten.
Mhm.
Um, but it would be good just to figure that out. And then we do a metabolic typing test, which is, you do it online and you just figure out basically how you oxidize food, if you're fast or slow. So you're going to respond better to carbs or fats for energy.
Mhm.
And, I've been very vocal about, what I believe to be the best way to eat. But what you start to realize is you can't go out there and tell people what the best way to eat is.
Mm.
And yes, you can have philosophical differences. Like I'm still not going to eat the vegetables that I don't, that I believe are bad for you.
Okay.
But I've incorporated a lot more fruit now. Like I'm not low carb anymore
Mm.
because I'm actually a balanced oxidizer. I actually do well with high fat and high carb, but
Mhm.
obviously not the scale was more balanced versus um so that was it's very easy to get caught up with social media because
Mhm.
people say things to get views, and the more tribal you can be about opinions,
Mm.
the more you feel like people are gonna, and it's just kind of like you're validating people's biases.
Yeah.
But you realize what's healthy for me is not healthy for you, is not healthy for anybody else. And and to the gut thing, I've doing this training and becoming certified with FDN really has opened my eyes to how important your gut health is. And we would say I did the Dr. Armand certification, licensed
Mhm.
brain training. His thing is you start with the brain. I actually think you start with the gut. I
Well,
think everything comes from there because that's, and there's I feel like we're just going to stay on health for the rest of this episode. We'll punt the commitment to next week. Um, for Braden, there's this group, this doctor who's come up with a protocol. You get gut tests for children with autism,
mhm.
and they found actually in a lot of the testing that a lot of the kids are missing certain bacteria
Mm.
in their gut, and they have opportunistic bacteria that's overgrown,
Yeah.
and a lot of them actually go up the spine and into the brain
Mm.
and crossing that blood-brain barrier, and that's having a big impact
Wow.
on their behaviors and all of that. So we're gonna get his stool tested, and he's created this great. It's all. That's why I love people who actually have an understanding of kids with autism. A lot of these protocols, like get their blood test. Yeah, you try sitting a kid with autism down and getting their blood
Right.
drawn. You try having them get their brain scanned and stick stuff on their head.
Mm.
Good luck with that.
Mhm.
He's where you can't do that, so he's created powders you can just mix into the drink.
Nice.
Excellent. Even getting like trying to get pills down. I mean, even kids in general, right? But
Yeah.
people aren't practical with the protocols they put in place. But
Yeah.
it's just really, really changed my mind. And by the way, I'm more than open to if I learn more information that actually that's not the most important thing. It's something else. Yeah,
Mhm.
great. I'm gonna I'm gonna be open to that too.
Yeah. I love it. Uh, we talked about this. I don't know if it was on the pod or we were just talking. You can't, like you said, you cannot just go out there and tout one thing for everybody, right? Because everyone's body does respond differently. Now, there's a nutrition focus of it. There's a, what resonates with you within,
Yeah,
and that's where the veganism comes in. Um, But the bottom line was, if you are, whether you're a whole food plants-based diet or carnivore diet or whatever, any of these, what would be considered a more extreme diet, the only reason they're considered extreme is because you're cutting out all of the processed crap. So
yeah,
people go, that's so extreme, right? You can't just, eat this. And I'm going to share this on next pod about an example with Alexander that happened at Hibachi. Um, but if you look at where people are having successes, even if it's just kind of an initial success and then it plateaus out, it's they've whatever they're eating consistently, whether it's fish or meat or, fruits and vegetables or, unprocessed grains, um, they're cutting out all the processed crap. The moment I eat a Impossible Burger or Beyond Burger, and I've really cut all of the pretty much the fake meats
yeah.
out,
Thank
I
God.
feel it. Like and it's used to be it was like my only option when I was out, and now thank God that there's more. But now I will just actually not eat if that's my only option because I know how my body feels. I
Yeah,
know if there was cow milk in something, I instantly get congested afterwards. So I'm always like, do what makes your body feel good, but you have
Yeah.
to be super aware of everything that you're putting in your mouth. And whatever the diet is, and I don't like the word diet, but cutting out processed foods, which we are so
First thing.
abundantly just shoved down our throat. Um, w- if you look at, like you're saying, gluten, everyone talks about when I eat pasta or bread in the United States, I feel terrible. And you go to Italy, you go to Europe,
Yeah.
you can live off that practically, and you're walking and you feel amazing. So, looking at ingredients, and I'm just
It's
alarmingly shocked at how people eat stuff that's called food that's
it's not
not
food.
food at all.
Yeah, I'm really so proud of Amy because she knows I'm such a stickler for it with the kids and everything. So
Mhm.
she will only buy organic.
Good.
She looks at all the labels now.
Mhm.
What type of oils are they using?
Mhm.
So we don't do seed oils or anything like that.
Mhm.
Um, and when she started with it, it was really eye opening to her because she was like, it's in everything.
Everything.
Everything and stuff that's labeled as healthy, and like even it's like organic, and then you're like, oh, there's
Yep.
the canola oil,
Yep.
there's the engine lubricant in my food.
Yep.
It's insane.
Yep.
But yeah, you nailed it there. Whole foods is the key. That's the best place to start as long as you're eating whole food. And I want to make sure we're giving people permission to stand on their values.
Yeah.
I have people tell me all the time. I had someone say it just this week. Well, just make sure I was explaining, the protocols I'm following now. Just make sure you don't become too extreme
Yeah.
and enjoy yourself with food. I'm like, you have no idea how much I enjoy food.
Yeah.
Like I love every meal because it tastes wholesome and I feel good from
Yeah.
it. So just, don't worry about the negative comments and what you're gonna find is all of those comments come from someone projecting their insecurities
Insecurity.
of them not having the discipline
Yeah.
to do it themselves.
Yeah.
So they're projecting onto you. So it's like the friend who goes out with someone who doesn't want to drink that day. Like
Mhm.
you try telling someone that you're not drinking on a night. Why? What's wrong? What's the
Mhm.
matter?
Mhm.
And then imagine you turning around saying, "Why are you eating that shit? You know
Right.
how bad that is for you?" The reactions you get will be completely different,
Yeah.
right? What's socially acceptable and what's not.
Yeah. I listen, as a person who has sat at many a steakhouse tables as a vegan, I have taken every comment, positive, negative, snide, genuinely feel bad. Um, like, we're not here to judge. The only thing when it kicks in with me is like when, you believe, and that's what I love about us. We are opposites, but we're so together on a lot of
Yeah,
it. So it's just, when I see someone eating something that I'm like, oh my God, that's a class one carcinogen. Like that scares me, right? Like I love them. I want them to live as long as possible and I want them to be happy and healthy. It's not a judgment. It's just a like, okay, well, this is what I know to be true. So it hurts me if I see someone that I love putting something what I view as bad in their body, right? Whereas you're sitting at the other end of the table and going, "Oh, that's great that that person's eating that, but not great that, it's I don't know my point other than we're not here to judge each other. We're here to support each other, help educate each other, give each other information, honor each other's choices and decisions. When it comes to your family and your kids and the people that are closest to you, I think it's a little more impactful. I'll always equate it to like someone who's super religious and really believes that you're going to go to a horrible place if you don't do X, Y, and Z. It's not
yeah,
just because they want to be righteous, it's like they love you and they honestly believe this. Well, who's to say they're wrong? I don't know. It's not what I believe. I don't believe you're going to a bad place, but I believe that when it comes to certain foods, So and other people believe the opposite. I don't know. Maybe I'm right, maybe I'm wrong. I do know that we have to stay open to each other. I do know that we have to continue to create safe environments like we talked about like an accountable leader does. You cannot have an authentic great communication relationship if someone feels like they are being judged by you, they are not being heard. It just will never be. So
yeah.
you can believe it's the line was, and you and I had this in, the project that we're working on. It's disagreement without disconnection. We
Yeah.
can disagree with each other and still love each other. We can disagree with each other and still be best of friends. We can disagree with each other and still be partners. We can disagree with each other and still be husband and wife. We can disagree with each other and still have our child-parent relationship.
Yeah.
Um, and if you can do disagreement without disconnection, I don't think there's anything that someone can't get through or people can't get through together. If you want to. If you don't want to get through, if you don't want to be with that person or have a universe where that person exists in it, then that's different. But if your goal is to keep the relationship, the healthiest way to do that is to learn that you can have disagreement without disconnection. And how do you do that?
Yeah. I completely agree.
All right.
Yeah, it's
Um,
a good place to wrap it up because
Good
I'm
place to
looking at
wrap
the
it up.
time.
And I'm going to speak this into the universe because I really, 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 really want us to do it. And that's the TM. I did look into it, and I think you and I need to make a decision on where we're going to do it and when we're going to commit to it. Because I know I'm 100%, I want to do it. So,
Yes, this all I'll say is this podcast is really just the beginning. Um, it's our way of being able to speak to as many people as possible at once.
mm,
But there is a lot more to come from this, and I feel like our lifetime of work is culminating
yeah,
in this moment with what we've got going on. So
we've been
I'm really
preparing for this.
excited.
Yeah,
Yeah, the whole alpha story, right? You
yep,
have your alpha one coaching.
yep,
I'm gonna be doing alpha health. Alpha flow is kind of the connecting piece.
yep,
And I'm really excited for the future, and I love that we've got an audience that have been with us from day one, and
yeah.
we've picked up new people. I see the figures on YouTube and Spotify. There are people who are finding us, and I love that.
Oh my God.
Leaders find leaders.
Yeah. And we're just going to get better. We're failing forward. And like
Yeah,
you said, it's like a culmination of our body of work, but it's also like we're continuing our work every single day. And it
yeah,
starts with ourselves. Like we're putting ourselves through testing, we're putting ourselves in these situations. And Curtis Dixon said to me, and someone shared this with him. So shout out to Curtis, who has helped me so much through so many parts of my career and my life. And I've helped him back too. So, but when I finished success coaching training before I was actually teaching it, he said someone said this to him, and I was like feeling like an imposter. And so many of our clients and so many people we know feel like imposter syndrome. He said, "What if you have been preparing for this for your entire life?" And I feel like that's
yeah,
100% where we are. And it's exciting. Both of us get chills up and down our bodies with certain ideas that come out. And it's like, aha, okay, body's responding. Body to brain. You just talked about that. Yes, our
yeah.
brain, but it's so much of the communication is body to brain, not brain to body. And I love that we have this. So thank you. Thank you for being you and for being awesome. And thank you for anyone that's still listening. More good
I
stuff to
think the
come.
stats are it's like less than 30% of people make it to the end of a podcast.
Yeah.
And I completely relate to that. I know
Yeah.
there's plenty of episodes I just don't
I don't think
finish.
I would listen if it wasn't me.
Right.
Not for anything, it's just attention span, right? So we could go to making 20-minute podcasts, but I think what we're doing works for now and it's going to
Yeah,
continue to evolve. And happy Friday. Have an amazing weekend. That's saying that to you. And then whenever
yeah,
we
back at
launch
you.
this out, yep,
It's going out today.
going out today. Okay, we'll
Yeah.
get it cut up
We
and
don't we
put
don't
out.
miss a beat. We don't miss a week.
We have not,
Now,
and we will
we
not.
haven't missed a week.
That's right.
Yeah,
Because we're committed and it's fun
that's
and it
right.
feels good and it flows because we're in alpha flow. When you have to force something, it's not that this isn't like take energy and effort because it absolutely does. But when you have to force something, that's a sign to the universe like something needs to be tweaked.
Yeah.
Like life does not have to be this hard.
Yeah.
It really doesn't. It really doesn't. All right.
Speaking of which, let me go and do what I've got to do.
So, love ya. Talk to you soon.
All right, back at you.
Until next
Bye,
time.
everybody.
Bye for now.
Do it again. I just spoke over it.